Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "My daughter just moved back in after an abusive relationship. She's been wanting to be uncomfortably close to me. So I will try to keep this brief. My daughter met a man I didn't really care for 3 years ago, right about when COVID was starting. He wanted her to move in with him quickly, and I could tell he was love bombing her. I was worried about how fast things were moving between them. She called me after she moved in, saying that she had to respect her relationship and needed to cut out anyone who wasn't supportive. I told her I didn't like where this was headed, the love bombing, moving in so quickly, now being isolated from her family. I told her these were warning signs, but she said she was in love, etc. I told her if this was her choice, then so be it, but I would always love her, my door would always be open, and if she ever needed anything or help, I'd be there for her. I didn't hear from her again for a couple of years. Then I got a call from her a few weeks ago. She was crying. She said I was right about him all along. Things had gotten progressively worse, and now he had hit her for the first time, which was her boundary. She asked if my offer to help her was still on the table. I told her of course it was. I love her and would do anything for her. So as soon as we got the chance, I went over, helped her pack up while he was gone, and moved her back into my house. You guys, I wanted to cry when I first heard her on the phone. She sounded so desperate. It was even worse when I saw her. She was emaciated, had bruises, and was a shell of her former self. It breaks my heart to see how badly beaten down she's been. So here is where things start to get awkward. About a week ago, she came into my bedroom at night in her pajamas and said she had been having trouble sleeping. She wanted to sleep in my bed with me, which I thought was odd. I said it was a bit odd, but she begged me and said it would make her feel safe. She used to sleep in our bed when her mother was still alive, and she was a little girl with bad dreams, but that ended a long time ago. I figured whatever she had been through was enough, and I wasn't about to interrogate her or make her feel ashamed. I wanted her to feel safe, so I agreed. She cuddled up with me and we slept. This has now become a habit. She hasn't slept in her own bed since and asks me to cuddle or spoon her while she sleeps in my bed with me. I really don't know what to make of this. She says it makes her feel safe. I'm not sure this is appropriate, but at the same time, she's been through enough already, and I want her to feel safe and secure. Is this something you think she will move past once she recovers a bit? Should I tell her I think it's inappropriate? Edit. We have a therapist appointment booked. I figured she was going to need one, but the therapist we found didn't have an immediate opening. Edit. I've heard from so many women who have been through similar ordeals but didn't have supportive parents to help them. I just want to say to you all, I'm sorry that happened. None of it was your fault. You didn't deserve it. What you did deserve was to have a dad in your corner willing to fight for you. It breaks my heart so many of you didn't have that. Edit. I probably should have included this in the original post. I asked her about filing a police report when I first picked her up. She didn't think she could handle talking to the police. I took her to a walk-in clinic since she had bruising on her face and was thin. I wanted to make sure she had no head trauma and to see if she would need to be admitted to the hospital to get her back up to weight. She wasn't underweight enough to require hospitalization. The doctor gave me some advice on safely getting her weight back up, and we took pictures of the bruising on her face and neck and got a medical report documenting it. Update. Okay, so I got some great advice, and I figured I would give everyone an update and clarify a few things because they will come into play. I know I said this in the comments, but I will reiterate here. When I picked her up, I saw that she was underweight and had bruises on her face and neck, clearly strangulation marks on her neck, and she had been punched in the face. I immediately took her to a walk-in clinic. I wanted her checked for head trauma to make sure she was okay, no broken bones or head injuries. I also wanted the doctor's advice on getting her back up to a healthy weight. The doctor told me her BMI was 15. Not good, but not requiring immediate hospitalization, which would be 12 and under. I also wanted all of her injuries documented and took pictures. The doctor gave me advice on how best to get her up to weight without her feeling sick. I asked my daughter if she wanted to file a police report and press charges. She did not want to. I didn't push it, but I kept the medical records from the doctor's visit. I got her home, and for the first week, I was careful about what I fed her and how much so we could get her healthy again without making her sick. I feel bad about it now because after I put my original post up, my daughter opened up to me about what he did and put her through. One of the things he would do was watch what she was eating and how much. He would constantly warn her about getting fat and not being attractive anymore. I now feel a bit bad because when she got home, I too was monitoring what she was eating at first. I know it was for different reasons, but it still makes me feel bad. Anyway, on to the update. She finally wrote down everything he did to her. I took a copy of this and put it with her medical files in case she ever decided to press charges later. I took her to her therapist's appointment and he recommended, as many of you did, a specialist. He had the name of a domestic abuse specialist who was also a woman. We are keeping her on for me and as counseling for the two of us. I try to be a good father, but there were cracks in our relationship he was able to exploit to turn her against me. There were things I did wrong after my wife's death and things we need to address, as well as help with her recovery. She is now seeing a domestic abuse specialist. As for the sleep thing, I had a talk with her and the therapist about it, and we came up with a plan utilizing many of the recommendations mentioned in the last thread. We are all comfortable with the solution we have come up with. I don't want to get too much into what he did to her, that is her story to tell. But he did utilize sleep deprivation. She told me he would make jokes about how easy it would be for him to kill her in her sleep. He would joke like this all the time and then laugh about it. She repeatedly asked him to stop, but he didn't. I only mention it because people wondered if he might have done things to make her scared to sleep, and well, that was one of them. I don't want to repeat the others, those are too personal. I took a leave of absence from work so I could be home with her. I prepared my weapons and got a Ring camera to monitor the door. He did not give up on her easily. While she had blocked his number and social media profiles, he would repeatedly create false profiles or use burner phones to continue harassing her. At one point, I took the phone from her when he had called and told him not to show up here or I would, well, that was not enough. About 2 weeks after this post went up, he showed up. I saw him on the Ring camera I had installed and called the police to have him removed. I told him from the door to leave, and if he walked inside, it would be the last thing he ever did. Instead, the police came and removed him, but they did little else besides get rid of him. Without a protective order or my daughter filing domestic abuse charges, the most they could really do was tell him to get off my lawn, basically. This was the wake-up call my daughter needed, though. She decided to press charges after he showed up. I retained a lawyer to help us through this. I gave the lawyer the advice I had accumulated, and he spoke to the district attorney and police, helped have the charges filed and the restraining order issued. Honestly, I'm not sure what went on there, but people, let me tell you, lawyers are your friend if you need to navigate anything in the legal system, even if you are not a defendant. So that brings us to now. We're moving forward in the legal system to press charges. We have a protective order. She's recovered more or less physically, but emotionally, it's going to be a while. I'm in therapy, she's in therapy, and we're in therapy together. She sleeps in her own bed when she feels up to it, but she still has nightmares and nights when she feels comforted being close to me. We are comfortable with the arrangements we've made and have drawn up a plan with her therapist to get her back into her own room and bed. I feel bad about monitoring her food. I had been doing that before I knew he had been watching how she ate like that. I also feel like I failed to prepare her for someone like that. To everyone who responded to my first thread, thank you. Rohini Rambles said, "You leave the door wide open, you let them know you love them and will come get them. Abusers hate nothing more than a support system that will answer that 3 a.m. call." To this Gone Postal said, "That is the worst thing abusers hate. Like I mentioned the other day on another thread, my mother was abused by her first husband, and my grandmother, along with her first husband's mother, had that door open to help her get back on her feet once she escaped." Abusers expect their victims to have home lives that are so stable they don't go back, and if they do, they want to plant that seed in their victim's head that if they did, they will get hell for it, so they are better off with the abuser, even when most people know they are not. Peter09 said, "I'm rooting for both of them to stay strong and stay gold. Unfortunately, many victims of abusive relationships lack support from their loved ones or proper support in general. I feel bad for all victims who have to deal with abuse and terror. Eat Frozen Peas said he may not have been a perfect father, but he made sure she knew he would be there if she ever needed to get out, and he followed through on that. That is so much more than many people in her situation receive, and I am so glad she had him. I hope her ex rots for what he did to her. This next post was made in the AITA subreddit by a user named Infinite Ad. The post is titled, "I told my ex's mom that I would never marry into their Orthodox family, which made her cry. I am still reeling from this myself. We are Indians and respecting our elders is drilled into us firsthand. But this feels crazy to me. My ex and I dated for a year in high school. A year. I got good grades in entrance tests, left for a good university, moved abroad for higher studies, and I swear I haven't seen or heard from this guy since leaving high school. The last I heard from old school friends was that he was doing very well in his career. I haven't been home in 2 years, so I came back to see my parents, and because of some issues, I am stuck here for an extra month. We grew up in different circles. My parents were never friends with my ex's mom, who, since we were in middle school, would hound my mother at parent-teacher conferences about how nice it must be to come to your daughter's school in air-conditioned cars, and how my ex's family could never do that because they are humble people. My dad takes nobody's barbs, and after that, he would loudly ask my ex's parents every time he saw them if they needed to be dropped off somewhere. I later found out that his mom used to tell my friends that my parents were show-offs. Still, she was nice to me. Throughout my school life, both my ex and I competed to be the highest in class. We came from a pretty large town, but went to the same school for years, and I was one of his closest friends. I also happen to be the eldest daughter of a brown household with a mother who has been sick for years, and I've been picking up the slack since I was 11. When I lived at home, I handled the majority of chores, took care of my younger sister, and managed my studies. I didn't do it for recognition, and my parents never told me to do all these things. They were constantly in and out of hospitals. But my ex's mom got it into her head that I would be the perfect daughter-in-law. Mind you, I was a kid. Her son was a kid. We were in high school. Even though we are a fairly progressive community, he came from a severely conservative family where women never worked, house help was not allowed, and you could only wear traditional clothing. I would literally rather stab myself in the eye than have married him. Telling my ex this is what led to our breakup. My ex's mom saw me after a long time when I was out with my mom and sister at a function. She immediately hugged me, telling me how pretty I had become, etc. I was very respectful and made small talk, then went away. But the next day, she called my dad and sent her son's match to me. She told my dad I was not getting any younger, her son was doing very well, and she had known for years how responsible and talented I am at household work. She said this was the best opportunity for my ex and me. My dad passed the phone to me and told me to handle this myself. At first, I was very polite and told her I didn't see her son that way and that I lived abroad and was not going to marry for at least 5 years. She got mad at that and told me her son liked me a lot, that I should be respectful of my elders, and that since she was praising me, I should be considerate of her proposal. I was done and told her our family would not accept her son, and there was no way I was going to marry into her ultra-conservative family. I told her not to bring this up ever again and hung up. My ex called me after years. We hadn't blocked each other because the breakup wasn't that bad, but he was so mad that apparently I made his mom cry and that I am so high up on my own horse that I am looking down on him. I told him his mom was ridiculous and asked why on earth she would ever think I'd sacrifice my happiness to be a slave to his family. We got into a nasty fight, and I ended up telling him to go cry on his mother's lap. I think there will be more drama because I know he and his mom are people who go around spreading misinformation. But my own mom thinks I was too rude. She says I could have handled it more respectfully or made up a lie. My mom is a very soft-hearted person, and she feels I made my ex's mom feel lesser than us. 2 of my old school friends sent me texts saying they expected better of me and that this is why they don't like me. But the fact that my mom thinks I was wrong is making me feel really bad. Update. I booked a ticket and I'm going back home to my city in 2 weeks. I would have stayed longer, but there are too many cultural programs around this time of year, and, well, as much as I love my parents, I love my late night walks with my friends and waking up and eating whatever I want, which living under my parents' roof is not possible. My ex's mom called my mom after getting her number from the old parents WhatsApp group of my high school. This woman is crazy. My mom is scared she may be one of those psychotic ones. She called my mom and told her they got off on the wrong foot, that she got too excited at the prospect of me being in the family, but her son said he wouldn't marry anyone else, so please consider it. My mother told her she would never ask me to marry a man who did not have the guts to talk to me himself and got his mother to do his work for him. My mom had a very stern tone toward her then. She told both my ex and his mom that since we are snobs, then these snobs are not ruining their daughter's life by forcing her to marry into such a conservative, problematic household. And yes, since they think we think of them as lower than us, they are lower than us. So they should stop bothering us because we are such awful people and they are so humble. I knew letting my ex piss off my mom was the right move because she is actually terrifying when mad. My sister and I were laughing when mom was on the call, so I didn't hear the last part, but she told me she handled it, and I should focus on my work and not let such idiots bug me again. It turns out it was my ex's idea, as I suspected, and he made his mom harass me to agree to be with him again. I still don't understand why, because my ex had made it very clear how much he hates me and everything I stand for. He said my independence would make me a horrible wife, that I am selfish and can't love anyone, etc. Every time I replied, "I can love, you are just not worth it," he would yell at me. Our breakup all those years ago, looking back, seems pretty funny to me. I had a trusted mutual friend deliver a sober message to my ex that I did not like him. I stopped liking him at 17 and have always considered him an annoyance at best. There was no way anything was happening. He should apologize to his mom for embarrassing her. From what I heard back, he told our friend he understood and wouldn't bother me again. So there is that. As much as I like drama, I am thinking of skipping it for the next couple of visits to my parents, so I think I'll ask them to come stay with me instead. Thank you for all the comments, I just needed some insight, and those were very helpful. Keyfly3 said OP doesn't understand why her ex wants her since he hates her ambition, freedom, and refusal to cower. What she needs to know is that he's a bird collector. Patricia Noah, Trevor Noah's mom, recognized this kind of man immediately. The way my mother always explained it, the traditional man wants a woman to be subservient, but he never falls in love with subservient women. He's attracted to independent women. He's like an exotic bird collector, she said. He only wants a woman who is free because his dream is to put her in a cage. Tough Crazy said OP won the lottery with her parents. She is so lucky to have them in her corner. I can't imagine what it is like trying to navigate a modern life with such traditional ties. Her ex's mom is a crab in the bucket. This final post was made in the advice subreddit by a user named Axolotl Nerd. The post is titled, "Workplace wanted to remove bell at desk that aids my disability." I'm sorry for the long post. I'm really upset and partially venting, but I also want advice. I'm a night auditor at a hotel. My job mostly involves sitting in the back, watching the cameras, printing papers for accounting purposes, and helping guests who arrive in the absolute dead of night. I work from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and am generally completely alone in the building except for security, who is one guy that mostly only shows up for his scheduled shifts. This job has been an absolute slam dunk for me. I struggle in most workplaces due to a blend of disabilities that make waking up on time extremely difficult. Showing up to work at all can be a challenge at times, and even when I'm in the workplace, I often struggle to keep up with workloads. Because I come in during the dead of night, I don't have to worry about oversleeping, and since my job is mostly printing some papers and general customer service, I don't have to worry about not being able to handle it. My previous manager encouraged me to bring my Switch to work because it can get extremely boring, and she made it clear that as long as I'm not bothering any guests, am here on time, and get my work done, what I do doesn't really matter. She also mentioned that there's a bell in the dining area that the cooks use, and I can take it to leave up front so guests can easily alert me when they need something and I'm in the back. She left the company about a month ago, and our new front desk manager is an external hire. She sent her first message to the team as a whole about a week ago, and about 70% of the message was her lambasting anyone who uses the bell and wrote that anyone using the bell would be written up for doing so. I have pretty bad ADHD, which is a major part of my typical struggles at work. I'm not always looking at the cameras and can't tell 100% of the time when a guest has arrived at the front desk. While I'd like to get medication to help me treat this, the waiting list is 1.5 years long just for evaluation, and since I only just got approved for company health insurance, it's still a long way out for me. Maybe it's silly, but that bell is a huge saving grace for my work performance. It's quiet, distinctive, and immediately lets me know I need to get up and help someone. I haven't mentioned that it assists me with my disability to my manager, but I wrote to her telling her that it's useful for me. Additionally, if I don't have a bell out there for people to ring, there are really only 3 ways things will go down when a customer arrives. The customer waits until I check the front desk cameras again, which could be a while because, again, memory issues. The customer walks into an employee-only area to look for me, inevitably scaring me and looking extremely unprofessional in the process. The customer yells, "Hello?" to try and get someone's attention. None of those scenarios are ideal. To me, it seems like a much easier solution to simply give customers a way of politely notifying me that they're waiting by giving them a bell to ring. However, my manager has made it very clear that this simply won't be happening, and I really don't want to get written up. While I could just sit at the front desk, that would make me unable to watch the cameras at all, and additionally, I wouldn't feel safe doing so. The front desk is positioned directly in front of a massive window, and we're located in a shady part of town. I am certain that I would get people coming in to sexually harass me. It has happened before. I just want to keep the bell. I don't understand why it's such a big deal if it helps me do my work easier, but I don't know how to describe to my manager that a $5 bell I bought off Amazon is an effective disability aid for me without sounding stupid. Update. So I guess I'm kind of looking for help. I think I might have dug myself into a hole here and I really need this job. This is going to be a super long post. Sorry, I'm a night auditor. I've been at the job for about 6 months now, and this is the longest I've lasted at any job. Working is really difficult for me due to my blend of mental illnesses, so when I landed this gig after accumulating a ton of rent debt and cutting ties with my abusive family, I was celebrating like I'd won the lottery. The fact that I get paid to do almost nothing most of the time is a real blessing. The previous manager was awesome and trained me to do everything super fast. She actively encouraged me to bring my laptop or Switch in to play video games during my shift because otherwise I'd get so bored I'd start bashing my head into a wall. She also told me I could use the bell from the kitchen and put it at the front desk for guests to easily get my attention. This has been an absolute godsend regarding my ADHD, and I made a sign to request guests ring it for me during the dead of night. After only 2 shifts, she said she was confident I could manage my own work, and I've been working alone ever since, with security around about half the time. Back in September, she left for a different job. Everyone was pretty heartbroken, but we all wished her the best, and she departed with no issues. There were about 2 months where the front desk was reporting directly to the general manager, who was slowly but surely getting less and less responsive to messages and calls. At one point, I had a guest approach me complaining that their car had been stolen from our parking garage, and despite being told they would get the chance to speak with the general manager about the incident, she had never shown up. I sent an email to the general manager immediately, furious that she had not responded to our guests and upset that my repeated calls to her over the last 2 weeks hadn't been acknowledged. I told her that she had to come in that day to discuss things with our guests, as they would be checking out the next morning, and I expected to be updated on the situation as it had happened during my shift, and I would like to know how I'm expected to respond to this. I got no response, and she did not arrive at the hotel that day, so I sent an email to HR saying that I was unable to get in touch with her and needed assistance ASAP. Fortunately, that was able to kick the general manager into gear and the situation was dealt with, though I never got my update. Finally, about a month and a half ago, we got a new front desk manager who I'll call M. Her introduction to us all felt off-putting. She opened with a standard introduction and then immediately dove into a rant about the bell. She had seen my sign saying to please ring it and went off the handle saying it was ludicrous and absurdly unprofessional. She said she threw out the sign and should she see a sign like that again, the poster of it would face disciplinary action. In addition, she's taken away the keyboards for the computers in the back office, making them functionally unusable for everyone else. This is, of course, a terrible way to introduce yourself to your new employees and feels like a complete power trip to me. A bell is a normal thing to see at a hotel, and putting that aside, it has been an absolute game changer for my disability. I have really bad time blindness and will forget to check the cameras for extended periods of time, and the bell is a good way of immediately getting my attention from whatever I'm doing and getting me to the front desk right away. I decided that M would surely understand if I told her it's a disability aid, so I left a response clarifying as much. I obviously didn't tell her the details of my disability, just that I can be very forgetful, and the bell makes it easier for guests to get my attention when I'm in the back office. In addition, I would very much like to use the computers in the back office. M said that it doesn't matter and I'm not allowed to use the bell. I reminded her that as a disabled employee, I am entitled to reasonable accommodation, and she was having none of it. She demanded I get a doctor's note for the bell or take it up with the general manager. She also neatly dodged any of my requests, asking where the keyboards are or if we can still use the back office computers. She also said if I'm experiencing trouble focusing, I should remove my distractions. This advice is very upsetting to hear, not only because I do not want unwarranted advice on how to manage my medical condition, but also because I know that is not how my illness works. This is maybe where I should have stepped back. I sent an email to the general manager explaining that I like to use the bell and it's a preferable alternative to guests entering employee-only areas to get my attention, and I would like to have it cleared as a disability aid. I also mentioned that I do not want to hear M commenting on how I should treat my disability, as she is not qualified to do so. The general manager seemed to take a very stern tone with her response, demanding to know why I wasn't at the front desk, why I wasn't checking the cameras, and saying the bell has never been allowed and I'm breaking the rules by using it. Worst of all, she demanded to know why I did not mention my disability during my interview. This question is shocking. No employee is ever required to disclose their disability to an employer before the job has been offered unless it makes them unable to perform the job duties. And as the manager, she should know this. I repeated that I am not required to disclose at any time until I make a request for accommodation, and that my disability means that I sometimes forget to check the cameras and this is not something I'm in control of. Additionally, I stressed that I have never been told I am required to remain at the front desk for the entirety of my shift. This has never been the case for me nor anyone else I have worked a night audit with. I also CC'd HR to make sure they were hearing all of this as well. HR responded saying if I want accommodations, I'll need a doctor's note, though they did not mention the general manager's out-of-line demand to know why I hadn't disclosed my disability. The general manager denied that she ever requested I disclose my disability, despite the fact that I have the email sitting in our reply chain just a few days prior. She said that I'm to respect M's authority as she has many years of experience in the industry and that I'm to remain at the front desk for the entirety of my shift. Additionally, she said that M has claimed I've been hooking my laptop up to the work monitors to play video games. This accusation has come out of nowhere. While I have brought my laptop to work to play games, this is something I was explicitly told was allowed by the previous management, and I have never connected my personal laptop to the work computers. I told her as much and made sure to stress that I am upset with M because she gave me unsolicited advice on how to manage a medical condition she is not qualified to comment on. Her experience as a hotel manager is irrelevant in that specific matter. I also made sure to stress that it is incredibly weird, considering how much M has stressed that she's the manager, that she never approached me about this supposed workplace habit. I would expect her to discuss any issues with my performance with me directly, as that would be the normal thing to do. I have not gotten a response to this email and it's been 3 weeks since I sent it. I'm honestly not sure what to do now. Did I just completely let my anger about this whole situation mess me up? Do I get papers from my doctor saying that I'm disabled? If I do that, should I even bother with the bell that caused all of this trouble? I still want my bell back, but it's not worth losing my job. Update 2. I made a post here a while back about my manager taking away the bell I use at the front desk. Long story short, I like using the bell as it is an effective disability aid, and I was originally encouraged to use it. New management came in and said if I was caught using it again, disciplinary action would be taken. I told her it was a disability aid. She didn't care and took the issue to my general manager, who began to grill me on why I hadn't disclosed my disability during my interview. Of course, she is not allowed to ask that. Legally, I am not obligated to disclose, and she is not allowed to ask me to do so during the course of an interview. I CC'd Human Resources in my response explaining as much. However, nothing came of it, and eventually the situation died down, though I still didn't get my bell back. However, apparently my email sparked a small investigation into the general manager's behavior. Corporate began sniffing around and found that next to nothing in our hotel was compliant with corporate policy, and bonus money that should have been sent to front desk staff as a result of positive reviews mentioning them by name never actually made it to the staff. According to a coworker of mine, the general manager had to be escorted out of the building. I spoke with the new acting general manager about everything, and he said he was excited to meet me because of the multiple glowing reviews he'd read that mentioned me by name. He is interested in equipping me with the skills to begin rising up the management ranks and asked me to expand on things that would make my job easier. Among the many changes he's planning on implementing came my personal favorite bit of news. I got my bell back. Cecil Raptor said, "Who on earth thinks that a bell at a hotel desk is a bad idea? It is something that has been used in the industry forever and a day." To this, Any Gift said, "Yes. As a customer, I am riveted when there is an empty desk and a bell. It saves me from having to give a weird little shout." Nayuskarian said, "You would be surprised at how stupid and vile managers can be. I had one who felt personally slighted that I didn't disclose my disabilities to him during my interview, and when he found out, he began a campaign of harassment with his HR buddy in an attempt to make me quit. I went over their heads, which led to an external investigation where all my claims were found to be substantiated. My boss and his HR accomplice were fired with prejudice as a result. Of course, they were Silicon Valley boomers." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.